everyone, it's Miss Rodriguez. I'm going to be going over a lesson for you guys that you are going to be seeing next Wednesday and Thursday. It is a quick review. I know we've all taught this, all second grade teachers have taught this before, but it's just to refresh your minds because it's something that might be a little bit harder. Now at the end of this, if you still don't understand, I would recommend watching it one more time. And if you still don't get it, please feel free to contact your teacher for any additional support or tutoring, okay? So what I'm going to be going over is word problems where we use a foursquare. Now I did take an example that looks a lot like next Thursday's math lesson. I'm going to go ahead and read it. I always advise my kids to read it 3 times. Circle what's important and underline the question. So that's what I'm going to model for you guys first. Tina had 62 pencils. Her mom gave her 139 more. Tina shared 86 pencils with her brother. How many pencils did Tina have left? So I have officially read it once, and I always like to put little check marks so I can keep count of how many times I've read it. Now the second time I read it, I like to go through and also circle what's important. Tina had 62 pencils. Her mom gave her 139 more. Tina shared 86 pencils with her brother. How many pencils did Tina have left? I've read it twice, so I like to put a little check. Read it twice. Third time and final time. Tina had 62 pencils. Her mom gave her 139 more. Tina shared 86 pencils with her brother. How many pencils did Tina have left? I see a word right here. How many did she have left? Okay, so now that I've read it all 3 times, the first thing we ask our students to do is analyze the problem. This is typically an easier step. It's just to make sure that they can completely comprehend what is going on and what strategies they may need to use, okay? So I have bullets here just to copy down what I know. What are the facts? What do I absolutely know for sure? And I know for sure that Tina had 62 pencils. So I'm going to put had 62. And it's something just brief, a quick little note just to make sure they understand. Then I know her mom gave her, so she got 139 more. So I'm going to put got 139 more. And I'm just writing the facts. Lastly, Tina shared 86 pencils with her brother. I know this. So she shared 86 with her brother. Now you may notice there's one last bullet that I left here, and that bullet is simply to write down the question. At the end of all of this, what do I need to know? In this case, I need to know how many pencils she had left. So again, I'm just making it kind of quick. I'm not writing full sentences. This is just to jot down little notes. So how many did she have left? Okay, I have officially analyzed my problem. Now I can move on to my plan. Now in the plan, I always ask my students to do a part-whole little strip diagram to really understand their work. Now I know that I've taught most of my students, because most of the time it's a 1-step problem. However, next week you are going to see a 2-step problem. So, and this is an example of a 2-step problem. So I went ahead and wrote step 1, and I have my strip diagram. Step 2, and I have my strip diagram. So my first step, the very first thing that I'm going to have to do here is I know she has 62, and I know that her mom gave her more. So my very first step is I'm adding. So I automatically circle my plus sign, because for this strip diagram, I know I'm adding. Now I always like to put my total on the bottom, but if it's on the top, that's also okay. In this case, I don't know what my total is at this point, so I'm going to put some question marks, but I do know that she had 62, and I know that she got 139 more. Now, in both of my numbers on the top, I always like to tell my students to put that plus sign. As you could see, I've put there. And I know that I'm going to have to work this out before I can even go to my step 2. So down here in my third one, I have where I can solve it. Now, the students know many different ways to solve. They can do standard algorithm, expanded algorithm, they can use base 10 blocks. I'm going to go ahead and do standard algorithm, and then I'm also going to show you with my base 10 blocks, just so you have 2 different options that you can do with your child at home. So I'm going to hop over here really quick, and I'm going to go ahead and solve the very first one. So 139 plus 62. Now, it's really important that the students remember here that they have to line up their ones, their tens, and their hundreds. If I would have put the 6 here and the 2 here in the hundreds and the tens place, my answer would be way off. So 9 plus 2, so 9, 10, 11, and then I would carry my 1 over to the tens place. 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 1 more makes it 10. So I would put my 0, and then I would carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So I officially have my very first answer. So now I can come back here, and now I know my total. My total is 201. So I can go ahead and put 201, and I have my first part done. Okay? Now I need to come back to what happens after she shared with her little brother. So I'm going to hop back over here really quick, and I can go ahead and start my step 2. Now, I know my total in this case. Tina has 201 pencils, so I can already fill in that number. She has 201. But there's a part, this part right here, that she's sharing. If I come back over here, I know that she's sharing 86, and I need to figure out how many was she left with. Okay, so she has her total, she's sharing part of it, so how many are left? And I can see here that it's going to be less than 201. So I know that I'm going to be taking away the part that she gave to her brother. Okay, so I'm subtracting, and I always like to circle it so I know what strategy or what operation actually is what I'm going to be doing. So I can come back to my solve to work it out, to figure out that part that she has left over after she shared. Okay, so I'm going to hop back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and write 201 minus 86. This is my second step. I always like to tell my students when I am lining this up, I can go ahead and cover that, and I have 1 minus 6. I cannot do 1 minus 6, so I'm going to have to borrow. I come to the 0, and the 0 says, hey, I don't have anything to give you. I've got nothing. So we've got to borrow all the way to the hundreds place. This 2 becomes a 1, and he gets his 10. But he has to lend to the ones place. So now he has 9, and then the ones place, I have the 10 that he lent plus that 1. So I have 11. Now I can go ahead and start subtracting. 11 minus 6 is 5. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 1 minus nothing is 1. So now I have my answer to plug in. So after she had 201, gave her brother 86, she was left with 100. 115. Okay? So I have officially done step 1, step 2, and step 3. Now all I have to do is justify right down here, which I always tell my students to just make sure it makes sense in their head. So this is the part where they have to think about, just common sense. I combined these two, which I did right here, and I got a big total. That makes sense. Then I took away part of that total, and I had a little bit less because she's going to have less after she shares with her brother. That makes sense. So now I can come down here and I can do a quick sentence answering my question back from up here. So how many did she have left? So I'm going to go ahead and write Tina, and I always start with a capital letter, had 115 pencils left. And I always put a period. It's a complete sentence, just the way we've taught them. So here is an example of a word problem where the students are supposed to be using a foursquare. Now this is pretty much as hard as it gets. I know the problem on Wednesday is easier. It's a one-step problem, so they only have to do step 1 and step 1. But on Thursday, it is a 2-step, so this is a really good example for you guys to go off of. Now, very